Hiya friends, my name is Elizabeth, and today we are talking about world building. I've gotten myself into a bit of a hot water situation with my current novel and its world building issues. So I'd like to take today to talk about world building and a better way of world building than what I have been doing. Okay? Okay. So I know a lot of authors world build like Tolkien, where they plan every tiny detail of the world and then put characters into the world to try to figure out a story. And that's great, but this video is not for writers who write that way. Partly because that's not how I world build, typically, and partly because this video is about a world building hack that will make your world building happen faster. Not as slow. The reason I don't world build like Tolkien is because I tend to start all stories, not just fantasy, but all stories, with the story. Like with the core conflict. A lot of writers start with character or setting or world building, but I like to start with story. And I have found, recently, unfortunately, that starting with too much world building before you actually begin writing the first draft can really slow me down. Not just in the sense that complete world building for a new fantasy can take literally years, but also because I then get hung up on all the tiny details that I created for the world, and I end up trying to stick too many of them into my story. So the story ends up feeling meandering or overly convoluted as I try to hit all of these random tiny world building points. Then the story I originally wanted to tell ends up muddied and lost inside all of these extraneous details. Does that make sense? So, I have written 6 novels. 3 of them have been fantasies, each set in its own unique little world, and in my most recent novel, I have gotten stuck about a third of the way through the second draft. Because I have now realized that unlike my previous 2 fantasies, for this one I created the world first and then the story second. I had never written that way before, and hopefully I will never write that way again. Because therein lies my problem. The 2 other times I wrote fantasies, I created the story or the characters first. And then the world second, or even third. So I never ran into this problem, but now I am. Basically, because I wrote this novel by world building first, I ended up giving too much of the world away. I did all of the world building before I started writing the first draft, so then I ended up writing a story that literally touched every part of the world that I had created, which would be fine if I had been planning on writing a singular epic, but I wasn't. I was planning on writing a trilogy. So the draft, as it currently stands, touches on every aspect of the world, but doesn't go into depth in any single one of them. And possibly worse than that, this plot that I currently have, that I wrote in the first draft, defeats the overarching villain who I had built into the world, which means any future books in the series would have to have a random new antagonist, which I don't like at all. You know, I wanted there to be like a through storyline. And I didn't realize I was boxing myself out of that until after I had finished the first draft. Plus, the way it's currently going, this story will end up being like 700 pages long. Without even really delving into any one specific part of the world building. Simply because I keep having my characters try to run around and touch all these different parts of the world that I had created. Do you see my problem? Because I had crafted the story around the world, I ended up just tapping on all these fun world building elements without any real purpose behind it. So it just ends up feeling like there's too much going on and not enough time to process any of it. I am not Tolkien, okay? I cannot do what he did. I have to do what I can do, and this way is not working for me. My story just ends up feeling like a kindergartner's show and tell. Like I'm just taking the reader to different parts of the world and being like, look at this! Look at this! Look at that! Without any underlying logic or like through line in the story's progression. The plot feels meandering and unnecessarily shallow. That's what I'm trying to say. So now I have spent an enormous amount of time thinking about this, pondering, problem solving, and as a solution to any future fantasy problems, I have boiled down the world building process into 2 simple steps. Are you ready? For this type of world building, we are starting with story. So instead of being like, I want to create a world, and then years later being like, I want to write a story in this world, we are starting out by saying, I want to write a story. And that's it. That's all we've got before we start. So the first step is to identify the major source of conflict in your story. Just the major source right now. Obviously, there can be all sorts of minor conflict throughout the story, but for step 1, we are only worried about identifying the major source of conflict in the story. Basically why you want to write this story. Then you world build only that specific aspect of the world. So for example, if we were writing The Hunger Games, we might identify the major source of conflict being that once a year, capital of this country holds a fight to the death among people from its varying districts. That's the story we are interested in telling, the major source of conflict. So before writing, we would only world build as far as that annual fight to the death. We would build the games and nothing else. This is where world building can easily get out of hand, because you might start thinking, well, what are the country's districts? How many of them are there? What is the culture of each one? How did the country get split into these districts? What is the weather like in each one? Or the economy, or the clothes, or the arts, or the leisure activities? And that's when you've got to catch yourself and remember that you are only world building as far as this novel's central conflict. So, this one particular fight to the death that will take place during the course of this book. First question, what is this fight called? Answer, the Hunger Games. Second question, who are the participants? Answer, 2 children from each district. Third, how are the participants chosen? Through a reaping, a drawing of names. Fourth, why does the country have these games? Answer, as punishment for previous uprisings and as a reminder of the power of the capital. That's it. That's all you need to know right now. Then you go back to thinking about the story that you want to tell about this central conflict. So this next bit is like step 1A. I promise it's only a 2-step process, but just hang in there with me. So you would now say, I want to tell the story about a child from the poorest district. Okay, so then you ask, how does this child get chosen to participate? Is their name randomly called? Is that enough motivation for both her and the reader to want to continue the story? Or would it seem unlikely that a random poor child would have the will to survive after having been raised in such an oppressive world? At this point, you might realize that no, pure survival probably isn't unique enough motivation to carry the whole story, since we've all seen a million stories where these stakes are just pure survival. Or you might not realize that until you start writing the first few scenes, when it starts to feel like the stakes aren't clear enough. And that's fine, but whenever you do decide that you need greater stakes than just simply survive, you might ask, okay, beyond simple survival, why does this child need to survive? And the answer would be to save her family from starvation. And, even more interestingly, to save her beloved sister from starvation. Then you might get the idea that she volunteers to save her sister, rather than just being randomly chosen. And then off you go on your story. Okay? That was step 1. Step 1. Here is step 2. You now begin writing the first draft. All of the world building you've done up to now is all of the world building that you've done. And now you are going to start writing the story. And when you start writing the first draft, start with the scene that introduces the primary conflict. Even if that doesn't end up being the first scene in the novel, it will be the easiest scene for you to write at this point, as you start feeling out the world, keeping conflict in mind. Then, when you are writing that scene, pay close attention to everything that your character interacts with. All 5 senses. Go overboard. These details don't need to end up in the final draft, but right now we're still thinking about world building, even though we're writing the first draft. So, in our example, we have a child who's going to volunteer to save her sister from the annual fight to the death. You could either decide their names now, her and her sister, or give them placeholder names. Deciding names can be an important part of world building, though, so it might be a good idea to name them now. So now you have 2 named characters, Katniss and Prim. Prim's name is going to be randomly called for this year's fight to the death. Katniss will step in to save her. That's the scene. That's what we know going into the scene. Now, describe it in detail. Remember, you're growing a world from scratch right now. You don't have previous world building to draw from. We're doing it right now, in the moment. So describe everything Katniss sees. All of these details can be nixed later. Are they standing outside or inside? Maybe you decide they're probably standing outside because her district is very poor, so they don't have the infrastructure for a large amphitheater. What is the weather? Well, perhaps it is dry and dusty, because they have very few resources in this area, so they don't have fertile soil for crops or anything like that. Maybe their clothes are frayed and handmade. Katniss, the older sister who has been providing for her family, is stoic and reserved and not in touch with her deeply rooted anger. Prim, the younger sister, is innocent and naive and still believes that there is good in humanity. Okay, wait, why is Katniss providing for her family? How does this story make sense if she has 2 parents that have been providing for them? So then you might need to step back and think, okay, well maybe her parents are dead. Or maybe only one parent is dead, and the other is so beaten down by their oppressive society that they are mentally and emotionally checked out. Maybe one of their parents was killed in some way that's connected to their society. What might the jobs be in this poorest part of the nation? You might think, well, what are the jobs in some of our poorest parts of our nation? You might decide on mining, because it's very dangerous, both in the short term, in terms of accidents, and in the long term for chronic health problems. That could be how these 2 sisters' dad died, and left Katniss in charge of providing for her family. Okay, that's all the world building we need right now about their history before we get back into the scene. Those details are only relevant so that we understand why this scene is even happening. Like, why is it Katniss's job to provide for her sister? We need that information in order for the scene to make sense, but we don't need to know anything else right now. So you go back to the scene to continue writing it, only working within the scene, and then pulling yourself back every time you start to world build too far. So we don't yet need any more history on the girls' district or their family. We have enough. to make this scene make sense as it currently stands. So back in the scene, we might think, okay, who's calling the names during this drawing? Maybe we decide it should be someone from the capital so that we can see the difference between the poor characters and the rich characters. That might be more interesting than just having another poor character draw the names. So we decide it's someone from the capital and we think, what is that person wearing? How do they speak? You might find yourself asking, what is that person's job? What is their history? How did they start drawing names for these games? What is the economy of the capital? What about the other districts? What is their economy? How do they speak? How do they dress? But then you have to remember that we don't need any of that right now for this scene. We are only answering questions that directly relate to the scene we are currently writing. What Katniss can see and interact with right now. She doesn't need to be thinking about the leisure activities or ecological impact or cuisine or climate or artistic history of the capital. We are only noticing how this person from the capital who is drawing names is different from the people in Katniss's everyday life. We probably also have access to a little bit of her underlying feelings of hate or boredom or anger or disgust of this capital person. We might need that in the scene, so you might think that far in your world building. You might also ask, who else gets chosen during this name drawing? What is Katniss's relationship to that person? But we don't need their whole family history right now, only what is relevant to this scene. Then you move on from there. You just keep asking the same questions over and over again, the same 2 steps. What is the primary source of conflict in that scene? And then, once you identify it, you start writing the scene and you world build only what is directly related to the conflict in that scene. That's how you end up with a first draft that doesn't get lost inside of its own world. Which is where I currently am, my draft. So you might specify the details of the other districts only as Katniss comes in contact with the players from those districts. You might only need to develop what kind of technology the capital has access to once you're actually inside the scenes of the games, where you would need to develop, mockingjays and crackerjackers and mutts. You don't need to develop those concepts before the scenes where they are necessary, or else you might develop too many technological advances and feel the need to include all of them in the story, leading to a meandering, overly technical or convoluted plot. Once you have the first draft, you can go back and add layers to everything. That's what I thought I was going to be doing in my second draft. Only then did I realize that my first draft was way too meandering because I tried to touch so many aspects of the world. After the first draft, you can add foreshadowing and deepen relationships and whatever else you might need. But I've always found that it's easier to add than it is to remove. So remember, for this style of world building, we are only asking, what is the conflict in this scene? And 2, what can my character see and interact with in this scene? And that's it. Those are the only parts of the world you need to be including in this first draft. And that's literally all you need to build an entire world. Basically, world building as you arrive at different parts of the world through the natural progression of conflict in the plot. We're not taking a bunch of side trips just to hit different places in the world. We can add side plots later if we need them, but we don't need them right now. So, returning to my current story and problem, if I had written the first draft in this way, instead of world building first and writing the story second, I probably would have saved myself this current headache of realizing that I've touched on too many parts of the world, so nothing has enough depth or purpose in the story. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Let me know if you try world building this way, because it seems like a real time saver, very streamlined.